Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who will not retire with 57 international goals. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
I mean, never say never, but yeah, it seems unlikely.
There's still time. Unlikely. You'd have to get a lot better, a lot quicker, and then score a lot of goals in a short space of time.
You don't know my speed. Maybe I've just been trying to be deceptively slow this entire time, so you never saw it coming.
So one man who did get 57 goals is Clint Dempsey. He's the joint, along with Landon Donovan, all-time top scorer for the US men's national team. Yesterday, he announced his retirement from all soccer.
Yeah.
Right? Not just US national team, also Seattle Sounders. It seems effective immediately, as I understood it. Clint Dempsey is retired.
He is retired. It's a weird world. It's a weird world.
It is, right? Because a lot of especially my soccer fandom, as I came to the US, Dempsey was just getting onto the US national team then. So he's been here the whole time for me.
He has?
Yeah.
For you, yeah. And it's strange, right? Because he's like an ever-present fixture, and then suddenly he's not.
Suddenly he's not. So maybe in the future we'll do like a big look back at Dempsey's career. Today, because we're going to look at the future, we're going to look at the US roster maybe later today. Let's just pick our favourite Dempsey moments.
Okay.
What moment is the one that comes to mind straight away and the one you really love?
I mean, it's the obvious one, I think. It's his chip for Fulham against Juventus in the Europa League. It's so lovely. It's just so pretty.
We just rewatched it before recording, right?
Yep.
And you forget how good it is.
Yep.
How he manages to turn and then it's a chip into the top corner, which is weird.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and he means it the whole way. It's not anything where he's maybe looking for a cross or just taking like a pop and seeing what happens. He definitely knows exactly what he's doing in that situation. I also, speaking of knowing what you're doing, I love how that game always shifts in importance. Like, if I don't watch it for like a couple years, it goes from, oh yeah, it was a round of 16 game to like, I'm pretty sure it was a semifinal and it's what got them to the final. Like it increases in importance, I think, as the specificity of it fades.
For those who don't know, Fulham did go all the way to the final that year, and it was a big comeback against Juventus, right? That's why that goal was so thrilling, because it was part of a big comeback against one of the biggest teams in European soccer.
Absolutely.
My favourite moment for Dempsey, I rewatched it as well, the goal against Ghana in 2014.
Decent.
1 minute into the 2014 World Cup. Because you and I watched it together. We were doing the podcast basically full time at that point. We've been doing loads and loads of shows, right? And we were all amped.
I think we had just made the decision to do it and see what happened.
Yes. And then we were so amped for 2014 World Cup. And it kicks off, and within a minute, Dempsey has the ball in the back of the net against Ghana.
And I think, as I recall, we both celebrated, but we're also kind of shocked. And then I think your dog was concerned.
Oh, my dog was very, very concerned. And I'll bet people haven't seen this goal in a while.
Yeah.
But it's a special goal, right? It's got like a weird, when he receives the ball, it's like a weird, he lets it run across him and he does a sort of step over. Then he cuts on a defender and then he bends it around the keeper into the far post. All within a minute. It's classic Dempsey trying stuff to give the clean version.
I'm glad you said that, because I was realizing both of the goals that we've chosen as like our Dempsey moments, I don't know of another player in U.S. soccer who could do that. Like, Landon Donovan certainly can score goals. Josie Altidore can score goals. Brian McBride could do that. I don't know of a player who's played for the national team who would have the audacity to do that turn and chip and pull it off. I don't know of a player who would take on 2-3 different Ghanaian players, use a bit of skill, pinpoint finish, bank it off the post.
Yep.
Beautiful goals.
I'll say this, even say Christian Pulisic, who obviously everybody loves at the moment and with good reason. We watch him play a lot and he is attacking and dribbly and he goes past people. But he goes past people with a lot of what I think of as standard cuts and feints and moves, right? Dempsey does the weird and the unexpected, like that step over we talked about, like that chip that we talked about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, retired but not forgotten.
Retired but never forgotten. Never, ever forgotten. And maybe more on Dempsey on a future Total Soccer show.
I like it.
All right. On today's show, we are going to talk about the upcoming US men's national team roster for the upcoming games against Brazil on September 7th and Mexico on September 11th. Last time you joined us, Dave Sarachan was still in charge.
This time you join us?
He's still in charge.
Yeah.
But this is two big games, or at least two tough opponents. So before we go through like the roster we hope to see, can we talk briefly about who Brazil are bringing and who Mexico are bringing?
Let's do it.
The answer is not necessarily their full-strength teams, but enough to beat us if we're not in our game.
Okay.
In both cases.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, for Brazil, that could be their C team, I think.
True.
Sure.
But on
so
this
who are
one,
they bringing? Let's talk about Brazil.
Neymar's there. Roberto Firmino's there.
I've heard of him.
Felipe Coutinho's there.
I've heard of him.
Fred of Manchester United is there. I guess maybe Chicho didn't watch the first few Man United games.
I mean, Fred's doing fine. I wouldn't put the entire Man United performance on him. I think also the stories I've heard is that he would have gotten playing time at the World Cup, but was basically nursing an injury the whole time.
I see.
So maybe Chichi just wants to see what his status is and how he fits in that team.
That's fair. Liverpool fans, you'll see Alisson, goalkeeper, has been selected. Man City goalkeeper, Ederson, not selected. I'm not entirely sure why. And also Fabinho from Liverpool selected as well. So a strong Brazil team, a tough test. That game will be in New Jersey, September 7th.
Two quick questions. One, Casemiro included?
Casemiro included.
That's troubling.
Really should have listed him almost first, right?
Yeah, maybe. And then number two, did you tell me prior to recording that Andreas Pereira had been included? That's a big deal. Yeah.
That's interesting for Man United fans, right? To see just how good this kid is.
Yeah, but also born in Portugal, I believe. So that he has chosen to represent Brazil is interesting.
And then the other game, September 11th in Nashville, it's against Mexico. Always a big game against Mexico. Mexico's roster is interesting. It's a blend of players you know, like Chucky Lozano, players you should be terrified of, like Chucky Lozano. But there's some veterans missing, right? There's no Chicharito, no Javier Hernandez, no Hector Herrera, no Guardado. But there's a young American by the name of Jonathan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Gonzalez is on the Mexico roster. He's going to face the United States. This is going to be interesting.
This does feel like a move from Mexico towards like maybe the next generation.
Definitely, yeah.
Figuring out who's going to go where and who's going to fit into the plan. Do you know who the current manager is for Mexico right now?
I should have looked this up before recording.
we don't know, do we?
I'm embarrassed.
I'm assuming it's an interim manager who we don't know the name of.
How can we have done this? I'm going to look at it right now. We don't normally do this. We don't normally research in the middle of the show, but this is a failing on the Total Soccer Show's part.
I mean, I'm assuming it's not Juan Carlos Osorio and a mustache, so... And last time they had the interim situation, it was with Tuca Ferretti. They apparently are still trying to get him to be the official manager. I think he's one of 3 candidates. Last I heard, he has not agreed. Who's it going to be, Mr. Grove?
According to Wikipedia, the interim coach is Ricardo Ferretti de Oliveira.
There we go.
Tuca Ferretti, interim coach once again.
There we go. So I think this happened last time. They tried to get him. He said no. In came Juan Carlos Osorio. That was the CONCACAF Cup, so it worked out pretty well for him. He got the results for Mexico. If he does it again, I wonder if maybe they make it even harder pushing him.
So Ferretti is like the Dave Sarachan of Mexico, except he doesn't want the job and everybody wants him to have the job. He's the inverse Dave Sarachan.
Sure. A little harsh on Dave Sarachan, but, I think that's fair.
One name to note as well, Diego Lainez is this 18-year-old who's been playing for Club America, really lighting it up. He's in the Total Soccer Show scouting network. That will be a player to keep an eye on. All right, enough on the opponents' rosters.
All right.
Enough on the opponents' rosters. Except to say that they've named theirs and we haven't named ours.
This is true.
Yeah.
It seems like it's basically been decided upon. We know some of the names that won't be included. That's been confirmed.
Yeah.
We have an idea of some of the ones that will. So I'm imagining they're just kind of rounding everybody up, getting final permissions from the respective clubs, and then that roster's coming out, we think, September 2nd.
I think this is a constant complaint of ours, though, right? That the US somehow manages to release its roster later than the team it's playing and announce the game later than the team it's playing.
Isn't that... Well, the announcing the game part is frustrating. Do we assume that the announcing the roster on September 2nd is so that they can do it in the middle of an MLS game?
It may
feel like
be.
That's usually the approach.
It's in the middle of a broadcast. Yep. I don't know that for sure, but that sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's September 2nd, 30 days after September. So there's 31 in August. So we've got tomorrow is soon to be Sunday. Yep. Sunday night, that feels like an MLS game. That feels like that roster getting announced at halftime.
There we go. There we go. Okay, who do we know who probably won't be there? I have a Dave Sarachan quote in front of me that points to one.
That will not be there?
Yeah.
Go ahead with your quote.
It seems like Michael Bradley will not be part of this roster. Here's a quote from Sarachan about a week ago. We're not discounting the value of veteran leadership, and Michael falls into that category. There will be a time, I'm sure, when we're going to count on those players like Michael to be a part of this. We had a good conversation, and I think he understands where we are. That's not a quote about a man who's about to be named to this roster.
Nope.
No,
it's not. It is a quote by a man who is trying to get this job.
Oh, come on.
I feel like that's pretty confident. I'm pretty confident now. And that Dave
Really?
Sarachan, and honestly, people are going to get upset. I think there's a chance he gets it if these games go well.
Interesting.
I think there's a chance.
hadn't even considered these games as Dave Sarachan permanent role auditions.
He has been, for sure. And it may... I only say this.
This is somewhat Taylor speculation.
Oh, 100%. There's no supporting evidence. We have not heard anything. I want to be very clear about that.
Yeah.
I'm also not saying I want Dave Sarakin to get the job because I think there are many better candidates. No offense to Dave, who we met and liked.
Yeah, lovely man.
He sure was. But I'll say this. It feels like this is what you would do if you were trying to hire somebody and you wanted to give them the opportunity to justify being hired. That you would like hire them on an interim basis and be like, get that report done, get that client to commit to working for us, make sure this project is done successfully. And if you can do it that whole way, maybe they can justify like bringing you in full time. So just the idea of not including Michael Bradley, who is justifiably or not, a very contentious figure in U.S. soccer right now, it feels a little bit like, we're going to put you on hold, we're going to keep showing what I can do with the young players and bring in young players and exciting players, and then maybe we'll get you in there if the situation requires.
What if this is an Ernie Stewart call? So it's worth noting that as of August 1st, Ernie Stewart, general manager of the US men's national team, he's been at his desk. He's been at work. He's been getting things done. He definitely, we don't know his full role, right? We don't quite understand the ins and outs and the day-to-day of his job.
I kind of feel like that's not unintentional.
Yeah, because you can't be held accountable if you don't say what your job is exactly, right? But this will, basically I'm saying this is the first time a roster will be named where Ernie Stewart has been in his role.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about him saying yay or nay on players.
Well, so, again, I don't know exactly his role, but he could be a guy that sits at the top and says, all right, for these two friendlies, what I think we need to do is keep calling up those young kids, right? Maybe we don't need to bring in Bradley, Altidore, the more experienced players, the veteran leadership. Maybe we don't need them just yet. Let's keep calling up the kids. I could see that as a general manager's conceivable role, an acceptable thing for him to request of the interim coach.
Yep.
Yeah?
It's also a strange situation that you can, like from a playing standpoint, justify not choosing Josie Altidore right now. He's not in the top 10.
I haven't watched Toronto.
He's not in the top 10 MLS goal scorers this season. He's not even in the top 3 for American goal scorers in the league right now. So I think from that, it's not as though he's tearing it up. He's near the top of the charts, and you're not including him. Why? It's a little bit more like, I think if you're Dave Sarakin, you can roll the dice with younger players and sort of have that out of saying, well, we didn't call on these more experienced players, but we did, see what the youngsters were capable of, and that's what we're all about.
I also, I'm a Michael Bradley defender. I did see Michael Bradley receive a ball from his goalkeeper just outside the 18, fail to look up, get robbed of the ball, Toronto concede a goal. That happened very recently.
Let's not have that happen. So we don't think Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore. On the flip side, there will be no Josh Sargent, which is...
I didn't know this.
There will be no Josh Sargent.
Why not?
That was confirmed by Werder Bremen and Tab Ramos, that they're going to leave him with the club to continue his development. He scored a goal for Bremen 2 today. I think that's not his first goal for them. So it seems like he's in a good rhythm, and maybe they want to leave him there to further establish himself.
Would you excuse me one moment?
Yeah, you cross out a name? I know. I went and I had seen that tweeted earlier today as a rumor. I think Travis Clark retweeted it.
Yep.
So then I went and read the full story because I knew you'd be like, what? There's no Josh Sargent? Yes. Yeah, ESPN reported Werder Bremen general manager confirming he will stay with the club.
Any more that I don't know about?
That's it, I believe, as far as ones I know will not be there.
There's one player that I think is...
Brad Friedel probably won't be there.
He might be there to watch. One player that I know is in, I think, is Aaron Long. New York Red Bulls defender Aaron Long. Yeah. This is Chris Amos, New York Red Bulls coach, in a quote after a game said, you talk about Aaron Long, we've seen the quality for all the years, and I think he's on the outside even now with his national team call-up. You'll see this guy is a big-time player.
All right, so... That seems...
Sorry, I said I think he's on the outside. That's me misquoting completely. Even now with his national team call-up, you'll see this guy is a big-time player, is the essential part of the quote.
Daryl, I'm no expert, but that seems to indicate that Aaron Long has made the team.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to put him in there. So that's one center back spot. We're going to kind of...
are you going to make the roster?
I'm going to try to fill it out as we go, only because there are so many names. And I'm going to say this. What we're doing here is kind of building a roster. We're going to hope to end on 23 names. I've seen more than a few squad predictions. I've counted those numbers. They end in 30 or 27 or 28.
But to be fair, it's not a World Cup roster, right? No. Or a national, a big game, FIFA game roster. Yeah. It could be 25 because you want to have 25 in camp. And there's MLS games in between as well, so some players might come and go. DC are playing twice in and around these two scheduled games. Yeah.
I'm just going to say this now. You know what's a dumb idea? opening a stadium in the middle of the season. Just wait. I know you want to get out of RFK. I know you got to figure some stuff out. It's not the best idea.
Can we have a quick sidebar?
Sure.
We went to Audi Field last night. We saw DC lose 2-0 to Philadelphia.
Playing 10 of 11 players that they played like 2 days earlier.
Some tired players in the humidity. I fear for that DC team against Atlanta United. Yeah, this coming weekend.
Yep.
But I was very impressed, more impressed than I expected to be with Audi Field.
Yep.
You probably heard me in the SeatGeek ad talking up the steep seats, steep stands. That really delivered. It delivered on the experience I was looking for.
I mean this in the best possible way. It is crazy to me that stadium seats 20,000 people because it is so small.
Yeah.
But it's because you're so tight and those stands are so vertical. Like I think we were 12 rows back in one of the bigger sections.
Yeah.
And you said like, look behind us, and it really is just a wall. Like you can look straight up and see faces, and that's really cool because you are right on top of the field, which is pretty awesome. Last night it was less awesome because Philadelphia Union won 2-0. Very nice to see Austin Trusty be very good. Very surprised, I have to say, to see just how much better Wayne Rooney is than the rest of the players on the field.
It's cute that you were surprised by that.
I mean, I guess I just figured he wouldn't still be that sharp, and having played this many games in this fashion,
yes.
It was still.
I remember we kind of had this conversation mid-game.
It was still 90-something degrees with an insane amount of humidity yesterday. He was going in the final couple minutes. He was the one chasing people down and trying to make stuff happen.
I think the thing that we really, really noticed watching it live is Rooney sees passes and executes passes faster than anyone else, including his teammates who maybe weren't alive to a couple of the passes he somehow fired into people's feet through traffic. And a couple of times, I think Segura and even Acosta a couple of times, whoa, how did that get here? And they couldn't quite control it.
Yeah, that was great.
But it's just a reminder of you talk about England's all-time top scorer.
Yeah.
All right?
We'll see what happens.
Are you gonna? I'm going to become England's all-time top scorer. You're going to become the US's all-time.
I mean, you never
scorer.
know. But I'm going to say this right now: get him on that plane, Gareth Southgate. Seems unlikely. Yes, so we did see that game. Audi Field was nice. Let's go back from DC. Yes.
Okay. Aaron Long, we think, is going to be on this roster. Maybe we'll talk about him when we talk centre-backs. Also, Jeff Rutter, who covers Minnesota United for The Athletic, says that Miguel Ibarra was at the very least on the shortlist, which confirms that there is a US men's national team shortlist that gets passed around in the build-up to a roster announcement. We kind of knew that, but it's nice to have confirmation that exists. And two, it means he might be on the final list, right?
Yep.
The very short list.
Yep. It also, to me, indicates the way the US is going to play, and also how maybe there are some vulnerabilities in this roster. Because
do you want to talk about this now?
Sure. Yeah? Because I think central center midfield is going to be fine. Lots of depth there.
Always.
I feel like wide attacking options, be it in like a 4-1-4-1 with wide midfielders or as more attacking wingers, there aren't as many options there, be it because of injury or retirement or players getting on a bit or not calling in senior players or just young players not being ready. It feels like I was surprised to see Miguel Ibarra included until I read more about this roster and the players available, and it made more sense after that.
Well, if you think about the way that I've seen the US play under Sarachan, a lot of the times the winger's job is to be hardworking and chase people down. Like Tyler Adams played right mid against Portugal, right?
Yeah.
And obviously he's a hard worker, chases people down. That's Miguel Ibarra's game as well. So I think from what I know of Miguel Ibarra, which is not as much as a Minnesota United fan say, he sort of fits that like let's hassle the opposition in every position style, right? So he could be a good fit in that sense.
Do you want to put him on then? Should we put him on our roster theoretically, or should we hold off for now?
Let's put him on just because we've heard the rumor.
Okay, I'm going to put him there for now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say with that in mind, the only other one before we move into like actual position by position build up, we've heard Will Trapp likely to get that call up.
Yes.
So
he's a Sarachan fave, right?
Yeah, I'm going to throw Will Trapp in there too.
He's a Dave fave.
Yeah, Dave fave.
I'm trademarking that.
I hope that's what it says on the squad list.
I want Sarachan to get the job full time now so we can use Dave fave.
I feel like you're going to get some booze to that one from listeners around there. So I think what we are going to do is use our standard approach of going through position by position and try to build it out from there.
Yep.
But before we do that, we need to talk about today's sponsor.
We get to talk about today's sponsor. We've actually already accidentally mentioned them. It's The Athletic. The Athletic is sponsoring today's show.
Jeff Rutter?
Jeff Rutter.
There we go. Okay, I was trying to figure out when we accidentally did that.
Writes for The Athletic. Yeah, so Jeff is covering Minnesota United. There was an expansion announcement today at The Athletic.
There sure was. I'm pulling out my piece of paper to get to it.
Unlike Major League Soccer, you don't have to compete for expansion spots. The Athletic just keeps expanding, keeps covering new teams. It's a European expansion. Now being covered on a team-by-team basis. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and PSG. The big guys.
And then on a league league-wide basis. Serie A and La Liga also have dedicated writers, and there was a tease that maybe more European teams, specifically a few more Italian teams, might be included sometime soon.
Interesting. You know what I would like is maybe a Borussia Dortmund one or a Schalke one.
Maybe you should propose that for yourself, my friend.
That's not a bad idea.
You take Dortmund, I'll take Schalke?
I've suddenly got very quiet because I know George listens at least sometimes to the Total Soccer Show.
George, give me Dortmund.
We can't be pitching work in the middle of an ad.
Do you want Dortmund or Schalke?
We can't be pitching
you
work in the
You take
middle
Dortmund,
of
I'll
an
take
ad.
Schalke. George, I'll take Schalke, Daryl will have Dortmund.
I guess that is part of our Athletic pitch, right?
Yeah.
Is that we also write for them. So if you subscribe to The Athletic, then you're also supporting the Total Soccer Show because the money flows through to us.
Yeah. And maybe you should send George some lobbying emails.
Brilliant.
You're welcome, George.
Right, but let's talk about some things that actually were written for The Athletic. I've just realised this was also by Jeff Rutter.
Which one?
The story that I want to talk about.
Let's do it.
It was a really well-reported story about, so he talked to various people involved with USL teams about how little some USL players get paid.
Yes.
It was a good reminder to me after yesterday's conversation about lower league soccer that it's not always rosy at lower league teams.
It's not. I want to say this, though. Like, I know we're talking about The Athletic. I know we both work for The Athletic. I know we both like George Qureshi. I want to push that aside to say, like, this is the type of story that kind of amazes me, and I think is what sets The Athletic apart. I don't think that there are many people out there writing exposés about the salary and living conditions of USL players. I don't think that that's a story that a lot of mainstream publications would ever entertain because, one, it's going to annoy people at established leagues from Major League Soccer to USL, and two, because it's not that sexy of a story from a general public standoint.
Yeah.
But it's
about people not having health insurance.
But it's what The Athletic exists to do, and I think it's a credit to Jeff Reuter for writing it. It's a credit to everybody who worked on it as well.
I think that's a good point.
Yes.
All right, so I don't want to spoil any of the details of that story, but I really think it's something that people should read by subscribing to The Athletic. A couple of the quick mentions for stories. Mike Goodman has a story about how Dele Alli is becoming a more complete player. And because he's Mike Goodman of StatsBomb and Double Pivot, he has the numbers, he has the stats to back up his claim that Dele Alli is becoming a more complete player.
All right, I'll check that one out.
Yeah.
I have already checked out Matt Pence's article, Farewell to Clint Dempsey, an American Original.
I didn't read that.
It was good, and it's got links to the other stories that kind of talk about Dempsey's relationship to Seattle and his legacy there.
Yeah.
But this one was really good, just from a kind of simple reminder of who Clint Dempsey is and what he stood for both Seattle and for the U.S., and more importantly, maybe what he didn't stand for. And I think that's equally interesting.
Oh, no, I'm going to read that after we've recorded this show. That's what I'm doing next. All right, if our listeners would like to subscribe to The Athletic and support soccer journalism, support The Athletic, support the Total Soccer Show, you can get 40% off if you go to the URL, theathletic.com/TSS-August. Theathletic.com/TSS-August for 40% off. This is, I think this is the final ad in The Athletic's current ad campaign with the Total Soccer Show. So I honestly don't know when that offer expires. It may expire at the end of August. You may sneak it in September.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is, if you're going to use it, if you've been listening to these ads and thinking, "Oh, I'll do that one day," now's the day. Don't put it off anymore. If you're going to do it, please subscribe to The Athletic as soon as you hear this.
And then I think also, if you're maybe not...
Only if you're going to do it.
You're not sure, if you're not sure you want to pull the trigger, then the other thing you can do is just tweet at George Qureshi and let him know that you want us to cover full Dortmund and Schalke.
I feel like we're treading some terrible line of non-ethical journalism here.
Troll army attack.
You can't lobby your editor in the middle of an ad. I guess you can. We just did.
We just did.
Right. Should we get back to the US
I
roster?
suppose we should.
Yeah. I hope George is laughing and not furious right now.
Yeah, you know.
All right, so we've set the scene.
Yeah.
We are ready to at least talk over the potential US roster. And US Soccer, don't you dare announce this roster before we hit publish on this show.
They're going to do that, aren't they? They're going to do that, aren't they? Oh, no.
Let's start with goalkeepers.
Okay.
Let's start with goalkeepers. The name everyone's going to want to see there is Zach Steffen.
Yeah.
I think people want him to start. I think that's quite likely, and I'd like to see him get games against Brazil and Mexico, right?
I mean, yeah, it's a shame he's injured, so he won't be able to make it.
Is that true?
No, it's not. I just wanted to give Columbus fans a heart attack for a moment. No, he'll definitely be there.
Okay. Who else would you like to see on this roster?
I think this is difficult because, by all accounts, Alex Bono has not been doing great for Toronto. Hasn't been doing poorly, but has...
He did pass that ball to Michael Bradley and then concede the goal.
It's definitely on him. Yeah. Bill Hamid has returned to DC United. I wouldn't say he did anything wrong last night from what we saw.
But he didn't stop any goals from happening.
He did not stop any. Well, he stopped a few. He just also let into.
I don't remember any saves.
He made a couple saves.
Okay.
I remember because the Philadelphia Union fans next to me were praising every single shot they put on frame as being majestic and amazing. It was great. It was real fun.
I was not fans of those fans.
Yeah, the veins in my neck weren't either.
And just so we're clear, we're not talking about a group of Philadelphia fans in the away section.
Just two guys.
We're talking about two guys who decided to sit in the DC section and loudly cheer Philadelphia goals in a way that was designed to annoy people.
And when
I feel like I've sidetracked.
I think when Philadelphia scored their second goal, did the "Are you not entertained?" like turn and stand at the crowd? And I was like, man, you are one more goal away from an unpleasant affair.
Uh-huh.
So I do think Zach Steffen will be there. I think there's a chance that with what I've just said, Brad Guzan is there as well.
That's interesting because I wrote him down as a possibility on my much more scribbly list.
Actually, I want to add, sorry, I know we keep going down other roads. I want to say I walked into the office and Daryl was frantically working on his yellow legal pad piece of paper. He has never looked more like John Nash from A Beautiful Mind than in that moment because it was also, you don't like the overhead lights being on, I think, when you're in here because we have the nice big windows.
Yeah.
So I walked into a darkened room and Daryl just scribbling circles and names on pieces of paper. I was like, oh no, he's been here way too long by himself.
Well, one of the names I circled was Bill Hamid and Ethan Horvath. So two goalkeepers that are less experienced than Brad Guzan. And the reason I did that is because of Dave Sarakin's quote about not needing veteran leadership. So if he's really feeling that, then maybe Brad Guzan is not. There's no need for him to be on this roster.
That's probably fair. I would say this, though, that Ethan Horvath, is he playing? I
looked into it. So he's been on the bench for all but one. He's been on the bench for Club Brugge for the first, I want to say, 4 games of the season. Hasn't played for Club Brugge.
So no.
But I don't think that should eliminate him from being called up to a US roster, right? Because he hasn't been with the US national team very much. Part of the experience is being called up and spending time with the other players. I think if there's a future for Ethan Horvath, there's no reason not to call him up for this roster.
I mean,
if he's healthy and ready to go.
I would say if it's, I feel weird making this argument because I'm not by any means a huge fan of Brad Guzan. I don't have anything against him either. I would say definitely don't mic him up in the middle of the game.
I think he's a great in-game commentator. He actually was really good.
He was fine. Including the one curse word. There we go. But it is weird to me. I still go back and forth on that idea of you got to call in players if they're in form. And Brad Guzan is playing for Atlanta United, who may end up being the best team in MLS when all is said and done, and has been a consistent performer for them. So I do think whatever baggage he may bring, I understand why you would want to call him in, but I also understand if Dave Sarakin is going to stick with what he's been doing, he's going to look at younger-ish goalkeepers.
So what's going on our much neater legal pad over there?
I genuinely don't know. We have Zach Steffen, and then we have 2 and 3 blank. And I would say the nominees are Alex Bono, Bill Hamid, Ethan Horvath, and Brad Guzan.
Do we have to decide today?
Well, let's pick at least one more, and then we'll leave it open for the blank.
Let's go. Bill Hamid is probably the most likely then because he's just come all the way back to the United States.
Bill Hamid, and then lots of options at number 3.
Okay.
And as you said, Daryl, there is a chance that this is a 26-man roster, and have 4 goalkeepers.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised with that one either.
All right, let's move on to defenders then.
Okay.
The way I would like to do this is to split the defense into fullbacks and centre backs, and maybe pick a couple of fullbacks each side.
Okay.
So let's start with right back.
Sure.
DeAndre Yedlin, we thought he had some terrible injury. He did not. He played this past weekend against Chelsea, got the assist, got the own goal. Not a great performance, but he still might be our best right back.
Yeah, I think he's in there for sure.
And he's not quite veteran.
No.
So I think it's almost okay to call him up here.
Yeah.
It's proper to call him up and mix him in with some of the younger players.
Oh, yeah,
He's
100%.
a perfect bridge between the two generations.
Yeah, I have no qualms with that. My only I have a feeling they'll call him in to evaluate his fitness level. That if he's only 80%, maybe we see him in 1 game or not, and not 2.
That's true.
Maybe we don't see him in the first game because they want to give him a little bit more time to get to 100.
That makes sense.
But I'm with you still. Yes,
right.
DeAndre Yedlin definitely there.
Then it gets a little more complicated.
It does.
Right? Okay, do you mind if I just do it in a newsy kind of way?
Sure.
For you? Okay, Shaq Moore.
Yep.
Who I believe played against France. Yeah. He has been sent on loan to Royce in the Spanish second division. Has not played yet. So he may be one where I could see the argument that he should stay with his team to maybe just get a bit more comfortable.
Yep.
Right? So there's that. Eric Lehigh is a possibility. I don't believe he's injured. I think he's always a possibility. Dave Sarakin seems to like him. Reggie Cannon, I think, has been doing really well for FC Dallas. He's only 20. It seems like the right moment to give him a chance with the US senior national team, right? Because he can't play U20s or anything. Matt Olosunde apparently is has been looking at maybe coming back to Major League Soccer.
Yeah. Currently at Man United, or specifically Man United's academies and reserves.
Yeah.
No loans. No playing time for the
He's
senior
playing
team,
the Premier
obviously.
League too, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of those ones where US Soccer does this a lot, I think. Players will get call-ups almost as a little showcase for Major League Soccer teams.
Yep.
I think Sunday might get a call-up almost just so he can come over to the US and do a little tour and meet some front office people.
That's possible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, again, if we're going with an expanded roster, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in there. It always feels like that shop window, like, oh, he's another kid getting a call into the national team. Like, that means something.
Which he did against Bolivia, right? So that already happened once.
So he's a possibility. I'll put him as like an asterisk. But in terms of the number 2 right back behind DeAndre Yedlin, I think I'm leaning towards Reggie Cannon.
All right.
I think that is in keeping with what Saracen has been trying to do.
Yep.
And I think it gives him more, if he is going for the full-time gig. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's been told he's not a consideration, but it still feels like the legacy he's trying to establish is he gave a lot of people their first chances, or their first like considerable chances. With
I like
US
that
national
version of history.
Okay,
yeah.
So I would say Reggie Cannon edges out Eric Lehigh slightly, in my opinion,
in terms of what we'd like to see as well, right?
I think so.
Eric Lehigh is a bit of veteran leadership.
He is.
And if
I
you're
got
not
nothing against Eric Lehigh.
Me neither.
He's got a puppy. That's wonderful.
It's great.
It's probably a dog by now.
That's true. I don't know when is it 1 year old?
I think so, yeah.
So if you're not familiar with Reggie Cannon, which I'm realising some of our listeners may not be, FC Dallas, right back, has improved defensively from what I've seen in the last year or so. Still very good at picking his moments to go forward. I think he got an assist recently in the 4-3 defeat to San Jose. So he's very nice at getting forward and helping out in the attack as well. He's exactly the sort of fullback that I'd like to see with the US national team.
All right.
Ready to switch to left backs?
Let's do it.
Because I'm realising we probably need to clip along, right? So that we don't take all day doing this.
We're only half an hour in. But don't worry, we've gotten 6 positions down.
Well, I have 6 syllables for you.
What you got?
Anthony Robinson.
Yep.
I want to see Anthony Robinson on this roster. I want to see him start. The starting things may be a conversation for next week after we see the roster.
Yep. And if you haven't heard, our many scouting reports about Anthony Robinson, was with Bolton last season, is an Everton player, but is on loan at Wigan, has been playing for Wigan, has been performing very well. Is that attacking option?
Really is that attacking option.
Occasionally questionable in defense, but that's usually in the final 10 minutes of a game when he's been running the entire game.
What great modern fullback isn't occasionally questionable in defense? It's almost part of the job description.
Just kidding. All right, so I think it's going to be Anthony Robinson. Right. Who else do you see as a left back?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Villafana.
That's who I have. It's Jorge Villafana for me, especially with the move back to Portland. Seems like he's trying to reestablish himself.
Here?
Well, not just that's part of it, but it's also I like the idea of we don't have to fly him.
Save on flights,
saving those miles. Yes, I think it's also
actually we should let him fly from Portland to New Jersey.
Yeah.
You can't put him on a Greyhound and say, "Oh, hey."
I mean, you could. You don't know. You don't know how these things work. I think it's Villafana. I think that makes sense to me because it's a domestic player who has the experience, who has a little bit of the veteran leadership, but doesn't have much of the baggage that some of the other veteran players might have.
All right, so we've got Yedlin Cannon, we've got Robinson, Villafana. I feel good because those are my 4 circles on my scribbly paper. I also wouldn't mind if it's Lehigh or Shaq Moore. I'm not displeased. Yeah. I'm almost happy to see Shaq Moore. I'm comfortable seeing Eric Lehigh. How about that?
Yeah, that works.
All right, to the central.
I mean, I would say Shaq Moore moving to the. I think he's in the 4th division in Spain.
Oh, is it really? Or is it like Segunda B?
It's either 3rd or 4th, but it's not 2nd for sure.
Yeah.
And
the club is Royce, by the way. And spelled weirdly like Marco Royce.
Yeah. And he's still trying to get established. I think it makes more sense to leave him there. And especially because.
Is there a chance he has an injury we don't know about? And that might be why he hasn't played at the start of the season?
It's possible. But I mean, that's part of the questioning. And that's where I feel like. This is maybe me being a little bit old school, but I get why you experiment in friendlies, but it's also not. It's not like U.S. Soccer is a charity organization. Like it's not like, oh yeah, this kid and this kid and this kid. Let's give them all opportunities, even if they're not playing. You can do that in a couple places if there are specific reasons for it. But just bringing in Shaq Moore to bring in a young player, I'm a little undecided on that one.
Fair enough.
Actually, no, I am decided, and I'm against it. I like Shaq Moore against his call up here.
Central defenders.
Yep.
Central defenders. Okay, here's the big one. The guy that, again, isn't a veteran, but maybe when healthy, the best defender we have. John Brooks is fit. He gave away that penalty for Wolfsburg, but he also scored.
He sure did.
He weirdly didn't have a great deal to do for Wolfsburg against Schalke, because Schalke's attack was a little bit anemic.
Good word.
But he looked healthy.
Yep.
Right? So John Brooks, to me, is the perfect guy to get on this roster. Again, like Yedlin, he's a link to the veterans, but he's still he's mid-20s, right? Partner him with, say, Matt Miazga, who's an up-and-comer. I think that might be our defensive partnership going forward, even when we're at full strength.
Yeah, I have a weird feeling that if there were other situations with the national team, like if we weren't in the state we're in, I feel like he might turn down this call-up, John Brooks.
Really?
Just because...
Stay healthy.
Get more acclimated to Wolfsburg, be there, and like... The idea
he's been there over a year.
Well, no, I just mean like get used to the current one coming back from injury, having definitely not having the strongest first season there. Mm-hmm. I would understand why he would say like, no, I really want to focus on my club career.
I'm going to spend a week in an ice bath.
Yeah, I'm still 100% dedicated to the national team, but I mean, he hasn't been there for a very long time, and obviously they missed the World Cup. I don't know if anybody knew that, but it's worth repeating. And so it does feel like maybe this is him potentially looking at the U.S. national team and being like, oh, I haven't been there for that one or that one or that one, and suddenly there's all these youngsters in there. Maybe I need to go back in there and remind everybody how good I am.
He's going to be asking, that Urania fella's not going to be around, is he? He's not at this game. Yeah, it's fine. I'll come then.
So I'm with you. John Brooks, Matt Miazga, I think those are probably your starters.
Are they on the neat pad?
They are, along with Aaron Long, as we previously mentioned.
Aaron Long. Okay, let's talk about Aaron Long.
Yeah. His impending DP deal?
So I've seen him. I've seen him for New York Red Bulls, and I've been like impressed, but never like, oh, this is the greatest player of all time.
Yep.
So I did a bit more reading today. What I didn't know is he used to be a midfielder back in the day. I think in college, and I think he played for Seattle or Seattle 2, or was it Portland? I'm sorry, I can't remember. Pacific Northwest team. Before he moved to the Red Bulls, and they moved him back to be a central defender. Mm-hmm. So that's why he has, I would say, above average feet. Foot skills for a central defender. He's also got the classic sort of strong and fast central defender skills. And he seems, whenever I've seen him, I've thought, oh, he reads the game pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I'm just buying the Chris Armas hype from that quote.
Yeah.
But this might be one of those guys who is well suited to international football.
All right.
So I'm sort of excited to see Aaron Long at some point in this game. And if you go up against Raul Jimenez, for example, who's now a Premier League striker, or you go up against Roberto Firmino, who's very much a Premier League striker, that's a great test for Aaron Long.
It is.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Who is the person, if he gets a game, say you've got two center backs play one game, two center backs play another, who do you think partners him? Because I really could go either way on this one, and I'm kind of needing your insight. Because I think there's a chance it's CCV, and I think there's a chance it's Tim Parker.
Okay, so Tim Parker has been he was called up to the most recent roster, right? He's a Red Bulls teammate of Aaron Long, so he's got that going for him. If we look at Cameron Carter-Vickers and we look at the other acronymed player...
You turned very professorial there.
Initialized player, EPB, Eric Palmer-Brown. They have both just moved on loan, right? So Cameron Carter-Vickers has just gone to Swansea City.
EPB like 3 weeks, I think, before CCV did, but still, it's still new for them.
And EPB, Eric Palmer-Brown, has gone from Man City to...
NAC Breda.
Is it NAC Breda?
It's NAC, I always say NAC. I had this conversation with Travis Clark, and we just agreed, why not? It is definitely not NAC Breda, but that's what I'm doing.
To Breda in the Eredivisie. Hasn't played yet, I don't think.
But I believe I saw either yesterday or today, it was believed that he had broken through and was expected to starting regularly for them.
Oh, there's a weekend of action before this roster is named, right? So... part of me leans towards...
I kind of forgot about EPB, to be honest.
Did you?
Despite the fact that I think he was one of my players to watch this season for the Top Throw Soccer show. Yeah.
You just forgot to take your own advice.
A little bit.
So, I guess he hasn't been playing, right? So it's been hard. But what do you think of the argument that maybe we leave these guys to literally settle into their new home, where, like for Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's going to be finding either a house or an apartment or whatever in the city of Swansea.
Yep.
And Eric Palmer-Brown, I'm assuming NAC Breda doesn't have endless international call-ups, so there's a chance that he gets to practice more and be involved and catch the eye more if he stays with NAC Breda. Maybe it's better for him in the long term to stay.
This is where I was kind of going around in circles. This is why I wanted your opinion, is because I'm with you on that, but then there's the argument to be made about or is it the case that, like, say with CCV, he's made this move to Swansea, it could be big for him, maybe you reward him for getting another loan with a call-up, and you sort of recognize, yes, you moved from Tottenham to Swansea on a loan deal, but you're still very much in our considerations, and we want to look at you that way. Same thing for EPB.
Yeah.
Or is it that you leave them there to kind of get acclimated a bit more, you bring in a person who has experience with Aaron Long and is domestic-based?
I lean towards the latter.
All right.
Leave them there.
Right.
If nothing else, it makes our pad easier to complete. Right?
All right, so I'm going to go Tim Parker.
And you've got 2 Euro-based, right? Brooks and Miazga, 2 Euro-based, and then 2 MLS-based. Aaron Long, Tim Parker.
All right, so I've got Tim Parker with CCV and EPB in parentheses.
I've got one wrinkle to add to this.
Uh-oh.
What if we go 3 centre-backs again? Because if you remember, I think you and I talked about this morning, in the most recent game, US versus France, we essentially went back 3.
Yeah, we'll just go Kyle Walker in that point.
To put it more to put it more accurately, back five is what we did.
Yep.
But we went 3 centre-backs. If we're going to do that again, we might need more than 4 centre-backs on this roster.
That is a good point. Yeah, and in which case, that's when I think you see...
Walker Zimmerman?
And maybe that's
Justin
even
Glad?
where... Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
I would say if you see more than 4 centre-backs, it seems like a giveaway to me that they're going back 3. So, yes, I think that's a good wrinkle to note. Thank you,
Maybe
Mr.
Eric
Grove.
Lehigh is our cheat here, because Eric Lehigh could potentially play as one of the back 3.
Potentially, yeah.
All right. We should move on before we try and solve this question on the show.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Let's move to midfield.
Yeah.
This is the most interesting part to me. Michael Bradley not going to be there. Darlington Nagbe is someone who could have been one of those not veteran, not youth, intergenerational, hasn't come back from injury yet for Atlanta, right? So it would be wild for him to make this roster, right, after being injured. No need for that.
So we've got Miguel Ibarra on there. I think right now we've got Will Trapp on there right now.
Well, can we break this down into like central midfielders and wide midfielders? So I'd call Ibarra definitely a wide midfielder. Yep. So we think Will Trapp.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's right. I think the other definites you got to add are Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams. There is no way those guys don't make the roster. If they don't, then I'm not even watching this game.
I don't believe you, but okay. So those are your more central ones, right?
Yeah.
So Will Trapp, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams. The name that keeps getting bandied about, and I think it's maybe just me not watching enough Major League Soccer, is Kellen Acosta. And it sounds like, by all accounts, that move from Dallas to Colorado has been very good for him. Yep. He has started playing regularly. He's even been scoring goals.
He's in a slightly happier place, it seems like.
It seems like. So, do we put Kellen Acosta in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm adding Kellen Acosta then.
Yeah.
Done and done.
One thing. Didn't you tell me just before we started recording that you saw a rumor from a German website or newspaper that Tyler Adams might be completing a move, or it's still possible that Tyler Adams will move to RB Leipzig before August 31st when the German transfer window closes?
Yes.
If that's the case, does he maybe not make this roster?
I mean, no, because as you said previously, there's a game this weekend, so it could be if the transfer goes through, he flies to Leipzig, he does his medical. He signs his deal. He flies back.
Shakes hands with Jesse Marsh.
Yeah,
again, Jesse.
Yeah, and then flies back for this sort of like a congratulations. Now go back to your country and remind everybody that you're not playing in the Bundesliga.
So if that happens, which we don't know how accurate that rumor is, right? They might just be making up rumors, as sometimes papers do for their local team. And I know that this is a thing that could be happening at some point. But they're making the rumor that 31st is coming, so therefore it might happen soon.
Yeah.
This could be like the Tyler Adams send-off games.
It could be.
Everybody throws Tyler Adams a party before he moves to Germany.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're going to be doing. I mean, to your point, there's also very much the case that it's a local newspaper being leaked something so that another midfielder who's been on the fence about signing for Leipzig is like, oh, okay, they've got a reinforcement there who's ready-made. Okay, I'll sign that deal for £10,000 less a week that I wanted.
But you don't think moving to RB Leipzig would mean that Adams is not included in this roster?
I don't. At the very least, I think it would be he was included and then had to be removed because of that. But I think he gets included no matter what. He's in that squad whether he plays. Which I see.
So McKennie, Adams, Trapp, Acosta. There's lots of names. Now it could get complicated.
It definitely could.
Joe Corona maybe has been a Dave fave. At least he was in that Bolivia game. Mikey Delgado, a lot of people like at Toronto. I like him. I think he's nice and energetic and makes tackles, makes passes. I think he's a good guy to have in midfield. Danny Williams is not back from injury, right? So he's not
enough to justify that.
Right,
one. But forgive me. Who was the first name you said? I forgot. Not Delgado, but
Joe Corona.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm just making the rough list because there are so many names at this point. Yeah.
Russell Canaris impressed you for DC United and has impressed a lot of people this season for DC United.
I would say playing more central, though, and I don't know if that's a spot where they need more players. I think the issue for the U.S. right now is some of the more wide players, because I also think there's a chance that we see Christian Pulisic central as well. Daryl doesn't like that one.
I have things to say about that.
Yeah.
People will be asking, why haven't you guys mentioned Keaton Parks yet?
Simply because no one else has. I didn't see any talk about him. I didn't see any rumors that he was getting looks or getting consideration. I think maybe they're just going to leave him in Benfica for reasons similar to what we've talked about with CCV and other players. Maybe he is on the verge. He's been playing for Benfica B. We expect him to get more minutes than he did last season with the senior team, so maybe this is an opportunity for him to stay there, get training, because what does happen on the international break is clubs continue to train. It's just if the players are gone, they bring in replacements from the academy or from the reserve team.
Oh, that's true. So if he's with Benfica B, which he is right now, the international break may be a chance for him to go play with the big boys. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. The other thing about Keaton Parks I think is worth noting is we saw a cameo against Bolivia, right, in May. Then he went with the squad, I believe, to play Ireland and then France. and didn't play a minute.
No.
I don't know what happened, if they just thought, you're not quite ready for this. You're not quite ready to play against these sort of big-time players, with the Irish and French players. So it could be that they also don't... If that's the case, then they definitely don't think he's ready to play Brazil and Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd be surprised to see Keaton Parks.
Yeah,
Pleasantly surprised, but surprised.
I'm right there with you. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment by expecting him to be there, so I'm going to say he won't be there.
Yeah.
The other one that I don't know if he'll be there, but I am excited to see him if he is Romain Gall. That's one who I can't say, again, like even as of 3 days ago, I can't say I knew very much about him. I still don't, but I know enough to say that I'm excited to see him potentially in there.
So I'll go be honest, I'm not sure what position he plays. Is he a attacking midfielder or is he a winger?
He has been playing a number of different positions. He's playing for Malmo right now. He got the move to one of, if not the biggest teams in Sweden, although I think they're like third or fourth on the table right now. But they play a 3-1-4-2. I think those numbers check out. He is playing...
Someone's been watching Pep.
Last I saw, he was playing centrally in that 4. So he was the left-sided midfielder. Scored 2 goals.
Like left centre mid?
Yeah, in the 3-1-4-2. He's in that 4, left side of the centre mid.
Got it.
But I've also seen him play left side of like a left midfield. So I think he can play central or can play wide.
So he's the Malmo David Silva.
There we go. I like that. Yeah, but can score goals. Is 23 years old, I think, so still on the younger side. And it seems like has been getting some looks. Maybe he is one of those surprise additions that people don't necessarily see coming.
All right, so keep an eye out for Romain Gall. Is that all we've got for central midfielders?
No, we've got even more because we haven't even mentioned Christian Roldan, who probably deserves a shout in there. Whether or not he makes it, I don't know. So that's the other one. And then I guess, are we moving into wide or are we staying central?
I want to move into wide unless there's any obvious central midfielders that we haven't mentioned.
No, that's about it.
Like Guido was selected recently.
Alejandro Guido?
Yeah,
I doubt we see him.
Okay, so let's move on to wide midfielders.
Sure.
This is where I would include Christian Pulisic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe we don't need to spend long on this. This is maybe more of a lineup question, but when I saw Pulisic in central midfield against Bolivia, and I've seen him play wide a lot for Dortmund, it strikes me that he's just better off as a wide player.
Agreed.
Not least because we don't have enough quality wide players, and we have lots of central midfield players. And yeah, he's probably the best player wherever you put him. But why not put him on the wing where he can do his work?
I think that makes a lot.
Not get lost.
It makes a lot more sense to me. Say the U.S. does go with a 4-1-4-1. I understand the inclination to take your best player and put them in a position where they're going to see most of the ball.
Yep.
But I really do think it makes more sense to put them in a spot where they are more likely to shine and have success. Yep. It's where he plays for Dortmund. Keep him on the right side, let him do what he does. And especially because if you move him central, it almost certainly means that you've got to move somebody like Tyler Adams out wide. And he can do that, but it makes more sense to me to have him in the role that he plays for Red Bulls, have Weston McKennie in the role he plays for Schalke, probably have Will Trapp as your number 6, put Christian Pulisic out wide, attack that right-hand side. Christian Pulisic and DeAndre Yedlin going down the right, I like that idea.
Here's where I've come down on this, is if the US is playing a very weak opponent, right, and we're just sending loads of attacking numbers forward, I think it's okay to have Pulisic as a number 10 alongside a striker, or even a number 10 behind 2 strikers if he's got 2 defensive midfielders behind him, and we just know we're going to have the ball forever, right? But if we're going up against a team like Brazil or a team like Mexico, basically a team that's possibly better than us, and we're going to play some sort of 4-1-4-1, then your 3 centre mids need to be centre mids who are mostly defensive first, right? You don't give Pulisic more attacking freedom by putting him central if the team's going to be without the ball for a long time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so we're together on that. Okay, so
I'm surprised. I didn't think I would agree with you on that one, but I've very quickly come around to your way of thinking. Well done, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Well done.
Okay, so
persuasive,
Pulisic.
that Daryl Grove.
How about Tim Weah as a winger?
Yeah, so here's the only reason why I don't have Tim Weah as a winger is because I don't know who our forwards are. I know we're going to talk about that.
Is Tim Weah on the roster?
He is definitely on the roster.
Okay, let's just put him on there as forward/winger.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to put him. I'll put him in midfield though.
Can't not be, right? He's almost become ahead of Adams and McKennie. I feel like Tim Weah has become the US soccer poster child for this. If you're going to call it like a marketing thrust for the fact that we're calling up a bunch of young players, it's often Tim Weah's face that is front and centre, right? And that's not a bad thing, but it's just interesting that that's how it's developed.
Yeah.
He represents this, we're taking a chance on youth with this national team.
Yeah. And I'm happy that PSG did the same first. So right now, the way I've got this, Timothy Weah makes 18 players.
Okay.
Usually you'd go like 19 would round out your midfield, and then you'd have 4 forwards. I don't think that makes as much sense with this squad. I mean, obviously you can have Timothy Weah as an attacker, so I'm going to say, for purposes of building this roster, let's do 3 forwards. We'll get to them in a minute, but that leaves 2 more midfield spots.
Okay, there's going to be wingers.
Yes.
Okay, I think, interestingly, Rubio Rubin is a Dave fave. Mm-hmm. He turns up a lot.
He does.
Hasn't been playing for Tijuana. He's been on the bench, not coming on. I don't know how much that impacts things. But I'm saying he's a possibility to be cut.
Yep.
We already have Miguel Ibarra, and we talked at the top of the show or earlier about why we think he makes sense. How about Jonathan Amon?
Yes.
Jonathan Amon.
My only hesitation about including him is that he's another one who I haven't seen as much. We tend to see a few leaks here and there, a few rumors, a few mentions that like, oh yeah, somebody was there watching him. It's expected he gets the call in.
He's been with the U20s at some point.
Yeah.
So he is, US Soccer are familiar with him. Yeah.
Okay.
He is back from injury at least a month or so, playing for, I forgot which round it is. Was he playing for Nordsjælland?
Yes.
And Hamid was with Midtjylland? Yeah.
Yes.
He's scoring for Nordsjælland.
He sure is.
Coming in from the wing.
Yep.
I think it would be great to get him with the senior men's national team.
I agree, and I think we should put him on there.
Right,
I did not necessarily have him on there before we started talking about him, but why the heck not?
Can I just say, amen to that?
There we go. You had that in your notes, didn't you?
I did not.
In your beautiful mind as scribbles.
None of my puns are rehearsed.
I don't see any red string connecting anything, so that's the only downside, but whatever. Yes, so that leaves us with one more spot.
There is no Claire in HR. Carol in HR.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Pepe Sylvia. I could go on about that episode for like 20 minutes.
A few more to mention. Fabian Johnson. Maybe he's looked at one of those veterans, but I know he did fine for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
He is 1,000,000% looked at one of those veterans.
He is? Okay, so we think there's going to be no Fabian Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Saif, I believe, is still coming back from injury for Anderlecht, so we don't expect to see him.
We don't. One player who I wouldn't be surprised to see in there is a man we saw last night. It's Paul Arriola.
Interesting.
We saw him play central and wide, and I believe briefly right back, so he can check some boxes. But he has that like hustle, the shuttling runs, the ability to settle the ball at pace and then go at people. We didn't see as much of that last night, but that might be because of some tired legs.
Here's why I don't think Paul Arriola is on this roster. I'd almost put money on it. Okay. I looked at the MLS schedule in and around these games. DC United plays away to NYCFC on September 8th.
You mean as opposed to DC City?
Yes.
Okay.
And at home to Minnesota United on September 12th. I would bet that, because they're all tired already, right? I would bet that DC have asked politely, almost begged, please don't take any of our players. We're all very tired, and we've got 2 games basically during this international break. I think US Soccer would do DC a favour and not call anybody up. So no Canals.
Here is my question, and I'm going to say I feel like we're going to get some tweets about this, so I'm going to ask you because I don't know. Should US Soccer care about that? Like it's not their fault. Again, Audi Field opened late, so DC have to play a bunch of games at home in a short amount of time. Like should US Soccer care about a club saying, "Ooh, actually, like he might be tired, so we don't want him to go"?
I think yes, slightly. And I think in a weird way, it's not that US Soccer should care so much. Well, maybe it is, but it's like Dave Sarachan and I've forgotten his name, the GM.
Ernie Stewart,
excuse me, should care because you want to keep relations good with teams, right? So it's more about just doing people a favour to keep things friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, again, I don't know if that should be the business that US Soccer is in, is doing people favours.
The business we should be in is Major League Soccer should have 0 games during international breaks. That's the business we should be in.
Okay. All right, I'm with you then. Let's flip that one around and say, in your face, MLS. All right, so we still have the one spot. We've got Jonathan Amon in there. We've got Miguel Ibarra. We've got Timothy Way and Christian Pulisic. Anybody else you think of all the names we've listed?
There's a man who scored in the most recent US game. Mm-hmm. He kind of played up front. His name is Julian Green. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure I'd be pumped to see him, to be honest, but he did fine in that game. He looked fine in this game.
I think he's in there.
You think he's on the roster?
That's one who, again, he bridges that sort of veteran-ish player.
Yeah. How old is he? Like 23?
Yeah, he's still
not
young.
Even, right?
Maybe he's around there. He might be. You tend to be right with age, so I will not second guess you. But he's playing for Gruthe Firth, playing well by all accounts, looked good in their cup match, the recent cup match. Mm-hmm. I think he gets called in there because, again, he bridges the kind of 2 age groups. Yep. He has the European pedigree that maybe like people will want to see. And yeah, I think you said he looked good in that last call-up.
Okay.
All right, so Julian Green, we can move to forwards in just a second.
Oh, sorry, one more. Lyndon Gooch. How about that? Lyndon Gooch starting the season in League One with a bunch of assists for Sunderland.
Yep. And with that said, I'm going to put Julian Green on the roster. Commiserations to Lyndon Gooch, but he's playing in League One.
Me and Lyndon will have the last laugh when he's on this roster.
Okay, that's fair. That leaves us with 3 forward spots to fill. Let's do that now, my friend.
Bobby Wood, Andrea Novakovic, and Giassi Zardes.
Yep. Pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought at least one of those picks would be controversial.
Nope. Not at all.
Wow.
I mean, you can make it. I mean, again, I'm with you. Bobby Wood, you want to reward him for making the move. You want to kind of build up that confidence a little bit as much as you can. Maybe remind Hanover that you've got this international player.
Didn't play, did he, in the opening weekend?
No. So I think Bobby Wood, that makes sense. Andrea Novakovic is playing, is getting minutes, is scoring goals in the Eredivisie. Again, you want to reward that.
Can you remember his team name?
He is playing for Fortuna Sittard.
Yes, that man there.
Yep.
Well done.
Yep. I didn't even look at my notes for that one. Yes. So I think those two make sense. And then, I'm with you. Gyasi Zardes, he is the top scoring American in Major League Soccer.
I have a request, though. If he's on this roster, Gyasi Zardes, he has to play centre forward.
Yep.
We can't call him up and ask him to play on the wing. This is my firm stance on Gyasi Zardes. Don't waste him on the wing, because then you're just going to make him look bad and people are going to dislike him. Let Gyasi Zardes do what he does best and play centre forward, or don't pick him at all.
Okay. Yeah. You'll get no arguments from me. And I think if you're going to look domestic for another goal-scoring option...
15 goals this season.
15 goals. Here's my question for you. I've already told you Josie Altidore isn't in there, so I've given you a little bit of help. Can you name me the two players who are tied for second most goals by American players? It's
CJ Sapong?
I'll tell you this. No, I'll tell you this. They're both dual nationals.
Christian Ramirez hasn't played enough to be... I can't tell you. Who is it?
Teal Bunbury.
Teal Bunbury.
And Dom Dwyer are tied with 11 goals this season.
Wow. Have we given up on the Dom Dwyer experiment?
I don't know. So that I kind of mentioned that just to say, like, maybe this is one where you could see him included. Maybe if they're going to go with...
I saw him advertising some mouthwash earlier.
Perfect.
So
if they were going to go with like 26 or 28 players, maybe he's one who you see get called in. Again, as a sort of, hey, you're still around. We remember you. But I think if you're going to go with a tighter roster, you probably have to look at Gyasi Zardes for what he's done.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm in on that.
All right.
How about CJ Sapong? Because we didn't talk about this, but he scored last night for Philly. We shouldn't pick rosters just on games that we saw, but it was a reminder that CJ Sapong is very useful. Does a lot of off-the-ball running that's not just hard working. It's actually very smart runs that he makes.
It is. I really like... I made that sound like I was about to disagree.
I think goal and an assist for Sapong last night.
If not an assist, then I think had the shot. I believe had the shot that was saved that was then scored, or maybe that's the other way around. I forget.
The other way around.
Okay, but I was impressed by the fact that he can move wide and can be a threat from the wing.
He did that against Portugal. He played basically left mid. No, he played centre forward, and Agudelo played left mid.
But two, I really enjoyed. Again, this is in relation to what DC were doing. It felt like he sort of knew where he was in relation to the goal more consistently, and knew how to put his shots on frame in a way that wasn't like, "Ooh, I want to take one more touch." Like, it was sort of touch and shoot. Like, it was that sort of, I'm getting the ball on frame, I'm going to get my goal if the opportunity presents itself. Maybe that is something U.S. Soccer wants as the kind of poacher in the final 10 minutes.
I think I might be a secret CJ Sapong fan.
There we go.
Yeah.
By all means. But I still think he probably doesn't make it. We shall see.
Christian Ramirez made a strong start to life with LAFC. He's also a possibility. I'm mostly just mentioning it just in case it
I feel like you're just trying to cover bases now. You're just listing names to make sure everybody gets listed, and you're still going to forget somebody.
Landon Donovan. So we'll find out for sure, we hope, Sunday night. We'll do an actual roster breakdown next week.
Yep.
Today's show is sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. Roughneck Scarves are a long-time sponsor of the Total Soccer Show. If you don't know what they do by now, you haven't been listening. Roughneck Scarves, the official providers of scarves for US Soccer, Major League Soccer, NCAA, and USL. You can get all kinds of team scarves at Roughneck Scarves. But what else can you get done with Roughneck Scarves, Taylor?
You can get custom scarves made. We've done that for the Total Soccer Show. We did that for the World Cup Comedy Tour.
We did.
They will help you design it if you need, but more likely, you're going to send them your designs. They're going to put it together. It's going to be pretty.
Even if you've got a wacky idea. And our wacky idea that we put out on Twitter was, if you were to design a Roughneck scarf to celebrate Clint Dempsey's career, what would it look like?
Yep.
How many deuce face gifs/gifs do you think we got in response?
A million. I think my favorite one might be the first one, given that I've only read that one so far. But I love it. Michael Bates says, got to be a two-sided scarf that says score goals on one side and go fishing on the other.
I think that's the winner.
I think it is.
I think that's the winner. But there are some other good ones as well. Jared Wilson says the scarf would be a collaboration with that Seattle brewery with Deuce Juice in bold letters. Did you know about this?
I did not.
I didn't know about this till I saw this tweet from Jared. I went and read it. It's Three Magnets Brewery, at least in the state of Washington, made a Deuce Juice IPA, I believe, with a number 2 on it in Seattle Sounders style numbering.
That, while I understand what they're doing, that is a horrible name for a beer.
Is it?
Are you familiar?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
What else could a deuce be? Not a great idea. Not a great idea, that brewery. Leanne.
It's sold. It's sold.
Leanne, who's a Kansan American Aussie.
Yep.
Is that what we have here? All right.
That's a Twitter.
It would come in 2 pieces. Leanne included a video of Deuce ripping up the referee's notebook.
I kind of like that. You ordered the Clint Dempsey scarf, and it comes ripped in half.
I do like the idea of a whole scarf on one
angry
side.
Clint Dempsey.
Yeah, I like the idea of angry Clint Dempsey on one side. On the other side is like it looks like a bunch of torn up pieces with like pieces of paper with referees' notes on them, and you just kind of all the way across the scarf. I think it would look good.
John Adams, not that one, says on side
More
one.
from him later.
On side one, it would have the crests of US men's national team, New England Revolution, Fulham, Spurs, and the Seattle Sounders. That's all Clint's teams. On side two, I quite like this, 57 fish swimming into a soccer goal.
Okay.
It's his 2 favourite hobbies.
I got that. Thank you. Brian Smith, final one, just have 3 deuce faces on both sides, so when you hold it up, it strikes fear into the opposing team's eyes.
I just thought a good variation on this would be, sometimes you have a scarf with the 2 halves and it doesn't form the image until you wear the scarf, pull it down long ways, and that should make the deuce face. That's the correct way to do deuce face on a scarf, right?
I guess so. Again, saying deuce all the time is weird.
You need a wide scarf.
Yeah,
it just means number 2.
It's also the case that if you want to wear a scarf properly, I heard you. If you want to wear a scarf properly, that doesn't quite fit anymore, and then you've got a weird jumbled Pablo Picasso deuce face. So I don't know if that works. But
they should do a collaboration with Picasso.
Yeah,
he's still
I think
around,
so.
right?
But if you wanted to get your own roughneck scarf, you could do so, and you could get 20% off using the Total Soccer Show promo code.
What is the Total Soccer Show promo code?
I believe it's Total Soccer Show.
All one word. Total Soccer Show for 20% off at roughneckscarves.com. Worth making clear, if you order a custom scarf, can't do a discount on that, but you do get really good profit margins, so the discount is already built in. But if you want to buy a scarf straight up, Seattle scarves, US men's national team scarves are for sale at roughneckscarves.com.
That they are, my friend. That they are. So that's our US men's national team roster discussion. Now, we've got to probably take a moment to discuss the Champions League draw.
Yeah, so is this full disclosure? Just so everyone's got the information, we only saw the Champions League draw, minutes before we hit record on this show, but we want to give a quick reaction to it. More on the Champions League as we go later. Yeah. You're looking at me like you know something I don't.
No, I don't. No, I'm just looking at the groups again. Basically, what's happening is I pulled the groups up because we really did pull it up right before we started recording.
I managed to paste it onto my Google Doc and print it out.
That's lovely. What was distracting me was that I also have my text messages up behind the 2 images.
Yeah.
And the last text message I received or have open was me telling you I was going to be 15 minutes late, and you responded with just an image of Coolio. So I just had Coolio staring at me, and it was kind of distracting. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Champions League draw.
Right. So we're not going to list the full draw, right? If you want to see it, you can go find it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've already seen it. What stands out to you about the draw, Taylor?
I would say Americans should be happy is what stands out to me first off.
That's a good take. Why so? Why so?
Because Group A is Atletico Madrid. I really got to hit that T. Atletico Madrid, Dortmund, Monaco Club Bruges. Lots of experience in that group, but you wouldn't say that you're in a group with, say, Barcelona, Tottenham, PSV, and Inter, which is Group B. So I think for Christian Pulisic, he must fancy his chances of making a strong push to get out of that group. Group D, Lokomotiv Moscow, Porto, Schalke, Galatasaray. Similarly, I think Weston McKennie and Schalke should feel like they are good favorites to make it out.
That's the most exciting one to me, and here's why. Is because
Galatasaray are there?
No, it's because Borussia Dortmund, I kind of half expect them to get out of the Champions League group anyway, or to make a good go at it, right? Schalke, not so much, right? So Schalke and Weston McKennie is the team and the player that I thought needed a helpful draw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what they got, so that's why I'm really excited for
That
this.
makes sense. Let me just respond to you by saying, Gerçekleri tarayazar tarinhide Galatasaray.
Viva Besiktas. Also, if Schalke do really well, and maybe they have a couple games at the end of the group stage that they don't, it doesn't matter what the result is, we could maybe see Nick Tatagui or Zien Jones or someone get their Champions League debut.
Just
thought about that?
Slow your roll down a little bit, man. Goodness gracious.
My roll too fast.
A little bit.
It's like I'm rolling down that new DC United stand.
There we go.
What about English teams? I see Spurs are in with Barca, PSV, Inter.
Yep.
I think that's not bad. Also, it's fun because you get to play against Barcelona.
I'm surprised you said that. That's the group of death for me. That is definitely the group of death. Yes.
I think you're rating PSV and Inter more highly than
I think Inter did a lot of signing and are a very good squad. And I think PSV consistently performed very well in the Champions League, just as Manchester United.
Man City having a chuckle. They're playing Shakhtar, Lyon and Hoffenheim. And how about Manchester United? Let's end on this one. How
Sure.
do you feel about Man United's group?
I feel okay. Given that they're in pot 2, you're always, unless you manage to get Lokomotiv Moscow, who were far and away the weakest team in pot 1.
That's why Schalke did so well, right? Is they got the weakest pot 1 team.
Because otherwise you're looking at Atletico, Barcelona, PSG, Bayern, Man City. You can't get Man City if you're Man United, so Real Madrid was the other option. So Juve is a tough one. Ronaldo returns.
Yep.
But it was always going to be a tough draw in pot 1. Then Valencia, Young Boys round that one out.
Yeah.
It is strange that Man United didn't get the easiest group because they pretty much do that every single year they're in the Champions League, which isn't every single year, worth noting.
True. Otherwise, we didn't mention the one group I'm excited about is one of the 8 groups I'm excited about. PSG, Napoli, Liverpool, Red Star.
Yep.
Liverpool, PSG is going to be great. Tuchel versus Klopp.
Yep.
Think of it that way? Tuchel versus Klopp.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig it a lot. And then you've got Ancelotti in there, and then obviously whoever manages Red Star Belgrade.
Which, of course, we know. We just don't want to say it on the show.
Ooh, you know who's not happy about this, I just realized, is Red Bull. Because I believe Belgrade are through at Red Bull Salzburg's expense, and RB Leipzig did not qualify for the Champions League. No Red Bull teams at a time when...
the draw doesn't make any difference to that.
But I was just realizing that there's not...
I thought they might be able to buy a team and take over a team before the draw was made.
I wouldn't put it past them. I'm just saying, 8 months ago, there was concern that you would have to change UEFA law so that you could have 2 Red Bull teams in the Champions League. Less of a concern nowadays.
You think they want to do Victoria Pilsen now with Red Bull?
I mean, you never know, man. You never know.
Final segment on today's show is updates from the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. We have, I don't know how many, but lots of exciting looking scouting reports. Taylor, I'll be honest, I don't know which side you want to start.
We're going to start with Gerard Pannekoek scouting Kik Piri, the 18-year-old Dutch-American defender for SC Heerenveen. I included American for your benefit, Daryl. He's Dutch. Kik continued to impress as an attacking left-back with a goal and an assist in Heerenveen's 3-5 defeat to Feyenoord. He did not appear to be directly at fault for any of the goals conceded, but when your team lets in 5 goals, there's probably blame to go around. This is Kik's 3rd season with the first team, and it wouldn't be surprising if he gets a move to a big-name team sometime soon.
It's his 3rd season with the first team,
18.
and he's 18 years old.
Yep.
Kik Piri is a name to watch. Do you say he's Dutch because he's hard committed to the Dutch national team?
I don't know hard committed, but he's playing for the Dutch youth national team, lives in the Netherlands, seems like he wants to represent the Netherlands.
That would be his fallback option, right? Yeah.
Safety school! Woo!
Amy Sparks is scouting...
San Diego Zoo, baby.
Amy Sparks is scouting...
Wait, no, that was his top choice. Excuse me.
Pierre Da Silva, the 20-year-old American midfielder for Orlando City. I haven't read this, but I think I know what it's about because I saw it happen. Da Silva received his first MLS minutes in Orlando's 2-1 loss against Atlanta United. He came on in the 61st minute when the Five Stripes were well in control of the game. He didn't do much, and Coach O'Connor, that's the new coach, was kind enough to make clear that his inclusion was due to the suspension and or injuries to his regular starters. We are oddly familiar with Pierre Da Silva, right? Because he used to come and play against the Kickers for Orlando City. Very talented young man.
Certainly. If we were continuing the Indiana Jones riff, that feels like a don't get cocky kid sort of moment. Let's not continue that, though.
Isn't that from Star Wars?
Oh, you're right. It is. Yeah, let's go Star Wars then. Okay. They're both said by Harrison Ford, so it all checks out. Wait. You're right. I was thinking it was the guy saying it's River Phoenix, but you're right. He doesn't say that. He says you don't have to lose, kid. Okay, anyway. Katie Sutton scouting Katie Cousins, 21-year-old American midfielder for the University of Tennessee. Cousins is off to a fast start this year, scoring goals in the Volunteers' last 2 games. She scored the team's only goal against Xavier off of a free kick that led to a 1-1 draw. On Sunday, she scored a perfectly placed penalty kick for the Vols' second goal in a 3-0 victory against Wright State. Cousins has already equaled her goal tally for the 2017 season. The Volunteers are 3-0-1 and are ranked 13th, despite missing their number 1 goal scorer, Bunny Shaw, who is currently leading the Jamaican national team in their World Cup qualifying campaign.
Bunny Shaw is a great name.
It is. It's amazing. I have to say, I think it's her nickname, but... I am consistently envious of, yes, there are players like Andrew Carlton is already driving like a Bentley or whatever and is never going to college. Yeah. I mean, he's driving a nice car. But I'm so jealous of players like this who are like, oh, yeah, I'd like to get back to my college studies, but I got to go play in a World Cup qualifier. I'll be back in a couple weeks. That would be kind of dope.
Mason Kriz is scouting Marco Farfan, the 19-year-old Mexican-American left-back for the Portland Timbers. Mason says, Mariano Trujillo, our Fox Deportes, reported this week that Marco Farfan has received his passport and may be interested in switching to the Mexican Federation. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Farfan is still not starting.
I'm going to say it's more like dun, dun, meh.
Farfan is still not starting for the Timbers, so the impact to the US men's national team is questionable. The impact in my desire to scout him, however, is significant. Message received, Mason. Message
if
received.
that happens, message received. Michael Thompson scouting Chris Gloucester, 18-year-old American left back for Hanover 96-2. That's confusing.
This just reminded me, we do have a whole generation of young fullbacks coming up.
We sure do.
Yeah.
We sure do, including Chris Gloucester.
Yeah.
After making 3 consecutive appearances with the Hanover U19s, Chris made his first appearance for Hanover 2, coming off the bench to finish out a 7-2 win. Not bad. Oddly enough, his debut appearance for the U19s was as a substitute central attacking midfielder, although all of his appearances since have been as a starter or at left back.
That's probably to just say, we'll just get you on the field.
Yeah.
Do you remember like Weston McKennie's Schalke debut or second game was weirdly as an attacking midfielder or a striker?
I just remember...
It was just like get a run out in a way that won't hurt us but gets you experience at this level.
I just remember like sunshine and rainbows and unicorns when he came on the field.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Greyhair Gaming is scouting Indiana Vassilev, the 17-year-old American attacking midfielder for Aston Villa who never leaves his hat behind. Greyhair says Indiana was included in the US under-18 squad for the 2018 Václav Jezek Youth Tournament in the Czech Republic.
It's returned, that tournament.
He played in all 3 group stage games, scored 1 goal, and then played in the final, which the US won in a penalty shootout, defeating Japan after it finished 1-1 in regular time. The US U18s won the tournament for the 3rd time in 6 years.
Decent.
We really own that tournament. Prior to the tournament, Indiana was getting minutes for the Villa U23s, leading to a question from Mr. Gaming. To give him his formal name.
Exactly.
Mr. Gaming asked, you guys mentioned U19s is where they put you if they think you have good talent, but I figured playing up an age group at 17 is nothing but positive. Am I crazy?
You are not, I would say. So we had talked about how...
That was in Bundesliga context as well, right?
Yeah, but generally speaking, I think the idea is like the younger team, if you can play in there, it's more like the top tier talent that they're trying to develop to get ready for the senior team. Mm-hmm. I think this reminds me of what Spurs did with Cameron Carter-Vickers. He was playing for the U23s when he was 17. I think the idea there was you're a 17-year-old. If you want to get senior minutes, you got to toughen up a little bit. And I think that's probably testing him at a higher level, at a more physical level would be the key thing there.
And again, if you lose for the U23s, you don't have to like it.
There we go.
Robert Newman is scouting Mason Mount, the 19-year-old English midfielder on loan at Derby from Chelsea. Robert says Mount scored again and assisted from a corner in Derby's 2-0 win over Preston in the Championship. Against Hull City, he scored in the 89th minute to secure a 4-0 win in the League Cup. It was his 5th match in just 14 days, and he played the full 90 in all of them. So Mason Mount, not just good at soccer, also very fit.
There we go. Yeah, but he should remember... X never marks the spot. Keith Sparks scouting João Felix, 18-year-old forward for Benfica. João came on as a substitute this weekend and headed home across in the 85th minute against local rival Sporting Lisbon, Sporting Club de Portugal. He was linked with several big clubs. I said that before people yelled at us. In the summer and has a 60 million euro buyout clause, despite thus far only making 3 first-team appearances, totaling about 30 minutes.
João Felix.
Hooray, buyout clauses.
Pedro Ferreira is scouting Vinicius Jr., the 18-year-old Brazilian left midfielder for Real Madrid. Pedro says Madrid manager Julian Lopetegui confirmed that Vinicius Jr. will be joining Real Madrid Castilla, their B team, for the season rather than going out on loan. Pedro says this is a positive development for Vinicius Jr. and adds that VJ played this weekend in Castilla's 2-0 win over Las Palmas B. Lastly, Pedro would like everyone to know that Jake Lamar turned 26 this week, so happy birthday, Jake.
Done and done. Taylor Mukaria scouting Ademola Lookman, 20-year-old English winger for Everton. This is getting kind of depressing. I need the Bundesliga window to close. Through 3 weeks, Ademola Lookman has yet to play a minute so far for Everton. RB Leipzig is still hot on his trail and have now offered £25 million. Reminder, the German transfer window ends on Friday.
We're going to have to keep an eye on that on Friday.
I believe we will. So too will Everton. So too will RB Leipzig.
Michael Fisk is scouting Andreas Christensen.
Winger, never mind. I was going to ask, is there a chance that this is the player that they're using Tyler Adams as leverage to get?
No, very different.
No, it's not.
Very different. Michael Fisk is scouting Andreas Christensen, the 22-year-old, is he only 22 still? Danish centre-back for Chelsea. Michael says, Andreas has made the 18 for every Premier League match so far, but has yet to make an appearance. Not to worry, as Andreas will most likely get playing time during the FA Cup, League Cup, and the Europa League.
I'm sure that's what he was hoping for. John Adams scouting Shaun Harrison, the 21-year-old English striker for Tottenham. John Adams, not that one. I have to add, legally. Sheehan played 90 and scored the equaliser in Tottenham's Premier League 2 draw against Brighton. Harrison started the game as the left side attacking midfielder and scored in the 59th minute after picking up the ball in that left wing, cutting inside and hitting the far corner from just inside the penalty area.
I must admit, I've been trying to think of Indiana Jones quotes, and I can't think of any that we haven't already used.
Oh, I was doing this the other day. I was trying to remember them all, and there were like 15 that came to me that were perfect, and I've forgotten them all since.
Oh. Ryan LaRose.
I think I did the tapestries last time. So
Ryan LaRose is scouting Rafael Camacho, the 18-year-old Portuguese attacker for Liverpool. Ryan says, Rafael Euclides Suarez Camacho had an amazing preseason with Liverpool's first team, albeit playing as a right-back rather than his natural right-wing position. Despite impressing, he finds himself behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, Nathaniel Klein, Joe Gomez, Fabinho and James Milner for the starting right-back position. Unless a freak accident happens to all of those players, Rafael is likely to play with the U23s this season.
I apologize for what I'm about to do. Going back to Andreas Christensen for a moment, though, it is sort of like depressing because we expected him to be more of a starter for Chelsea. He got those opportunities last season.
Yeah.
Maybe someone should take him back to Germany in a Zeppelin. See what I did there? See what I did? Final report from John Saltonis. Daryl looks so angry. John Saltonis scouting Declan Rice, 19-year-old Irish defensive midfielder.
I feel like we had to work very hard to get somewhere we didn't need to go.
Hey. That's what I'm all about, man. John Saltonis scouting Declan Rice, the 19-year-old Irish defensive midfielder for West Ham.
But is he?
For now,
but
exactly. Declan has officially turned down a call-up to the Ireland squad for their upcoming UEFA Nations League match against Wales, which would have cap-tied him to Ireland.
That's an important piece of news, by the way.
Yeah.
People have asked, does the UEFA Nations League cap-tie you? And therefore, will the CONCACAF Nations League cap-tie you if and when the US plays in it? Seems like the answer is yes.
Yarp and yarp. Gareth Southgate has approached him regarding a one-time switch to the Three Lions, which likely explains the decision to turn down Ireland. The London-born Rice has been with Ireland all through the youth levels and played well in senior caps against France and the United States prior to the World Cup. While this probably comes as potentially exciting news to Daryl and Taylor, for those of us who follow the Irish national team as our second squad, this news comes as a major bummer. I would say it bums me out. I would rather him play for Ireland. I love Ireland at a major international tournament.
This comes on the back of the Jack Grealish switch not so long ago as well.
Why you got to be stealing people's stuff, man?
I think there's a thing maybe
your sheepish shrug is in like that's what England does. It was slightly off-putting.
I mean, you read some history books and that pretty much is what happened, right? My apologies for the entire history of England.
Can I say one of my highlights? The highlights of my week was our Iranian friend Cameron. Like I was teasing you a little bit in practice, and he was like, "Hey man, don't be mean to him. He's English. They used to have a lot. Now they don't have much. Be nice. Be nice."
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He was like, "They're a little country now. They used to be bigger."
I shouldn't have passed to him all those times. Except he holds the ball so well, I probably should still pass
him.
Yeah,
there's
right?
that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you to everybody for submitting your scouting reports. If you'd like to join the Scout Network, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. I know I've said this a lot lately. I am working on scouting assignments. This afternoon, I've blocked out some time. That's what I'm going to be doing. The Scouting Network will expand aggressively this afternoon.
Okay.
If you'd like to join again, totalsoccershow.com/join. If you join at $10 a month or more, we guarantee to answer a listener question every month from you. And you send your questions to totalsoccershow.com/questions.
And Daryl, we guarantee to answer those questions?
We guarantee.
See, there we go. I asked a question, Daryl answered it. That's your guarantee. Done and done. That's how it works.
You owe me $10.
Wait, you owe me $10. I forgot this. You still haven't paid your Wolves debt, my friend.
Should we call it even after this then? This works out nicely.
That is how it works.
I'm pretty sure it is.
This is why Wolves haven't been winning the Premier League, is all I'm saying.
Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I
will never let this show end. Right back at you, buddy.
I know you have to be somewhere very soon.
I really do.
Listeners, thank you for listening. And Taylor will talk to you again tomorrow.